Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Bodacity Show. I'm here with the beautiful and awesome and talented Barnsley Brown, Dr. Barnsley Brown. So you're in Chapel, North Carolina, right?
Absolutely.
Right, beautiful area. I lived in Raleigh for a little while, long time ago. Love that area. It's beautiful down there. So tell us a little, I'll read your bio and then we'll jump into finding out more about you, but also really excited to hear what you think the 5 most common action stoppers in business are and how to work around those. Because I know for myself and a lot of my clients, and all of my clients, we all hit the wall sometimes where we get stuck, stalled, or stymied. And so having tips and hints for working around is part of why I wanted you here, was so that you can give us that perspective as well. So let me introduce you to Barnsley. Dr. Barnsley Brown taught at Wake Forest University, Duke, and UNC-Chapel Hill before launching Spirited Solutions, professional speaking and coaching over 20 years ago. She loves helping women and business owners double, triple, quadruple, or more their income and positive impact in her Make It Happen Mastermind and Reiki trainings. So I love, one of the things that I really found appealing and attractive about you, Barnsley, was the combo of that inner and woo-woo and spiritual and personal side combined with some real practical, tactical, kind of kick-ass business acumen. So that's part of why I was excited to have you on. So tell us something that we wouldn't know about you or find out about you from reading your bio on your website or anywhere else. We want something juicy.
Juicy. Let me give you some juicy. So I was on an improv comedy troupe for a while. And I study improv. I love improv. And with quarantine, obviously we haven't been doing anything, but I'm looking forward to getting back to it. So that's something juicy that I think, hey, it's made me a better presenter.
Yep.
And it's way fun to invite my coaching clients to come see me be completely goofy. And it's just fun.
I love it. You're right. I wouldn't have guessed that about you, but it's awesome. And I think that improv is such a powerful speaking tool and aid. My good friend and client, Julie Cotton, does a beautiful improv class for speakers in particular. And it's a really great skill to bring into your coaching and into your speaking. So tell us a little bit more about it.
Sure is. I want to tell you, this is funny, Jeanette. Years ago, I took my first class and I said to the teacher, you should be doing improv for presentation skills. This is before I really got to started with my business. And guess what? He started doing improv and teaching people public speaking improv skills at some of the major corporations here in the RTP area, Research Triangle Park, which is just down the road.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I love it. You see, you're before your time all the time. So tell us a little bit about you and the work you do before we launch into the 5 common blocks in business. So who do you?
I began my business in the year 2000, actually September 11th, 2000, just a year before the towers came down, which was really an interesting date to choose for my business birthday. And, you know, I had no idea, and I bet you would say the same, Jeanette, that I had no idea how my business would evolve. I began working individually with people and teaching Reiki. And then I kept getting asked to do business seminars. And then I was asked to coach people. And it's just evolved from there for 21 years. And I think you hit the nail on the head, because I really am a right-brained and left-brained person. So I love the mystical. I love the woo side, but Reiki is a system for healing on all levels. I like to tell people that in case they don't realize it's a system. And then I also have the business acumen that I've developed over years and years of lots of reading, lots of courses, lots of everything. And so I bring both sides, but I love doing that because I know that everything that's happening in our personal life is also impacting our professional life, and everything happening in our professional life is also bleeding over into our personal life. So it's important to have everything dealt with together.
Yeah.
I see us holistically.
I totally agree. We're whole human beings, and a lot of the work I do is mastering the inner and outer game of business, because you can't have one without the other. It just doesn't work. We're not segmented beings. So let's talk about what does block us in business. So what are some of those blocks? And I know, because you've been at this a long time, patterns and seeing clients come up against things again and again. So what are those 5 most common blocks?
Yes, I love it. Actually, our biggest block is always, and I know you get this too, Jeanette, is right here under your hair, right there,
Yeah.
in between your ears. That's the biggest block always. And we could say we want something in the external, but if the internal isn't right to accept that, i.e. the subconscious, if the subconscious is, I can never have that, I'm not good enough for that, blah, 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 blah. I don't care how much we do in the outer world, it's never going to manifest. And I like to say to my Reiki students, think of it this way. You could tell me, Barnsley, I want to live in this castle in Scotland, and it's got all these turrets, and it's a multi-million, billion-dollar, whatever castle. And the thing is, if your subconscious programming, your subconscious discussion or conversation is about, I live in a shanty, guess what? The castle is not going to manifest. So when we look at those 5 action stoppers, they are all about the conversations that are going on in our heads. All right. That's what they're about. Plain and simple. And the good news is we can shift those conversations. So the first one, I'll just talk about the first one, and then we could just chit chat about it and go on when you want to, Jeanette. But the first one is, they're all scarcity conversations, by the way. The first one is learned helplessness. Right? I call it learned helplessness. And this is basically observed in humans and also in animals. When we've somehow been conditioned to expect pain or suffering, and that there's this belief that there's no way to escape it, learned helplessness. And I would say one form of that I see in my clients is an addiction to struggle. That it has to be hard, and there's nothing you can really do because it's so hard. It's always going to be hard. And that is just a conversation. As soon as I let go of that conversation, if it's so hard and there's a struggle, this is that great Puritan conversation, right? The Puritan work ethic. As soon as I let go of that, then I could be in the flow of order, the flow of abundance.
I think
so. Learned helplessness is the first one.
And I think it's a big one. It's interesting because I don't know that I'd have called it that, but I think that I certainly see that dynamic. But it's a big one around the addiction to struggle and to it being hard, because I know that I've done that myself a lot. But a lot of that is tied to my value comes from being able to do the tough stuff. Like growing up as a survivor and surviving my childhood and so forth, a lot of the value that I have received, or the acclaim or the notice, the attention, has been for overcoming challenges. And so therefore it gets linked to, therefore my value is in overcoming challenges. So of course I have to create challenges to overcome. Otherwise, where's my value come from? So what do you suggest or recommend for people who have that currently linked? And I know, and have consciously known for decades, that it's a story, but it's pretty hardwired when that is how we typically get our value. What do we replace that with, or how do we let that story go? What's a way to unhook that?
With the addiction to struggle, we really got to get it into our bones that it can be easy, and that we're valuable just because we breathe, just because we're here, just because we breathe. You're valuable not in reaction to something, you're valuable innately because you are a representation of the I am on the planet. You are that. So I think in terms of getting at the subconscious, one of the things I love is using Reiki level 2 and 3, the master level, because we can actually clear out the computer programs that are there and substitute new ones. And there are particular ways that we do that, or that are in depth, that you learn over a period of years. However, what I would say is the first step is to realize, hey, I have an addiction to struggle. And do I really want this? does this serve me? Does this give me joy? And if the answer is no, then it's time to really begin unwinding that. Sometimes we can unwind it with words. Sometimes we can unwind it with affirmations. Sometimes we can unwind it with body work. Sometimes we can unwind it with a spiritual inventory. But the most important thing, first of all, is to realize, I've got it.
Right.
And then we can move. Then it goes from something that's lurking beneath the surface that we're not aware of to something that's up here where we can say, oh, okay, there it is again. I just saw myself wanting to fight through this situation and to push this situation. What if I just stepped back and knew that the universe had my back and took some deep breaths and let it work itself out?
Yes, that's a big part of it, is that last one, the trust that the universe has my back, and trust that we have our own back too. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
I really do believe, Jeanette, that's what you just said is very true, that actually any distrust we have is essentially distrust of ourselves.
Yes.
All right. So it's within ourselves. So we might say, I don't trust that person, or I don't trust the universe, but it's really about trusting ourselves, that we would be able to choose well for ourselves and take care of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. We could talk about this topic all day long, but what's number 2?
Yes. Well, I wanted to go a little bit deeper in terms of scarcity conversations. And in this case, I'm going to talk about the not enough conversations. Not enough. All right. These are the conversations of I'm not enough, or there's not enough time. There's not enough energy. There's not enough money. There are not enough clients. These are the not enough conversations. And I can tell you that these are huge. These plague people, especially people in business. And I can find myself every now and again getting into a not enough, like not enough energy or not enough time or whatever it is. Not enough time was one that I had for the longest time. And Jeanette, as soon as I decided to let that go, I had all the time in the world. It's like I suddenly had time just opening up, and I was able to get things done so much faster and just able to let go of the stuff that wasn't important. Yeah. So the not enough is important to look at, really important. And we're in a society where people want more and more. More. Just give me more. Let me have a Red Bull. Let me have more money. Let me eat more. Let me go on more dates, whatever. We just want more and more. All of that tells us that we are actually in a state of scarcity.
Yes.
We wouldn't want more unless we were.
Exactly. I have a saying that I say, our culture of not enoughness is creating an epidemic of too muchness. That there's too much consumerism and hoarding and avarice, and more. We need just more to be enough. And so it's ironic that that not enough can never be filled with more of something. It just has to be
right,
created or understood that it's simply not the truth. Right?
It's not the truth. And actually, this is again where I believe Reiki is great, because it shuts down the monkey mind. And the monkey mind is the one saying, I need more of this, I need more, I need need more clothes, more shoes, whatever. But the Reiki can actually create stillness in us. We can actually create stillness using Reiki and relaxation. And you mentioned your past and your childhood, and I too had a very difficult childhood. And one of the things that happens with that is post-traumatic stress disorder, right? A hypervigilance, to always be watching and always want to stay in control and plan and all of that. And I have to say that things such as Reiki, yoga, some of the other forms that we can do that will actually relax our vagus nerve, or our vagal nerve, it's VAGUS, not Las Vegas, or VAGA, will allow us to relax into who we really are, which is, as I said before, valuable just because we breathe, just because we exist.
Yeah, beautiful. And I agree. I think there's a lot of pausing. The more we pause, the more we can see the story And the more we see the story, the more we can let go of it. But in the running,
Right.
reacting to the story, then there is no space for us to get. It's like water to a fish. We can't see the water until we pause and step out of it.
Right.
Cool. All right.
And
So,
then stepping out of it, you can say, well, you know what? This isn't serving me. How about I create a different story?
yeah.
I just received something from a client of mine, and it was so powerful, she's been releasing a relationship, and she restored all of this.
Mhm.
Get rid of that ringer. She gave it a new story and sent it to me this morning, and I was so thrilled. She took the story that she had before, which was one of not having this love anymore, feeling alone, blah, 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 and changed it into, by releasing this relationship, I've allowed my business to bloom.
Mm.
I've established my priority is my relationship with myself.
Mhm.
And she also believes in a higher power. So also that. And I have allowed myself to be in the flow. She talked about all the things that had come to her without needing to hustle.
Mm.
And I loved that. But she gave herself, she rescripted what she had an interpretation of. And it's all, this is the power we have. We are the authors of our lives. We are the authors of our businesses. We are the authors of we're the meaning makers for everything that happens in our lives. And I personally don't see my difficult childhood as something that wounded me and broke me. Instead, it made me who I am. And it made me care about the things that I care about, and care about the work that I do, and uplifting women, and having girls know that they have tons of options and don't just have to work for somebody. They
Yeah.
can have their own business.
Exactly.
This is so important.
Yeah. Yeah, it creates the capacity and our perspective and our framing, but it doesn't define and restrict us, but it does give a container or a focus
Exactly.
or a perspective. So cool. What's number 3 on your list?
Number 3 is the know-it-all. How many of us have had this one? Ooh, see, my hands are up. I'm gonna put both my hands up on that one. The know-it-all is like, oh, well, I already know that. Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
These are some of the things you hear coming out of the know-it-all. And the problem with having this conversation is that it makes us uncoachable.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's a stuck mindset rather than a growth mindset. One thing I'm really clear about is the more I know, the less I know. The more I know, the less I know. And actually, I remember a funny thing comes to mind, Jeanette, when I was doing my PhD final of all the exams, right? The final one, the oral exam. Well, actually, then there was the dissertation exam after that. But when I was doing that, they asked me questions over and over and over, and they were things I didn't know. And why did my committee do that? Because they wanted me to see that I didn't know it all.
Mm.
And what a gift that was, to realize that getting the PhD was a beginning, not an end, right? Earning it was a beginning, not an end. So I often ask my clients, especially in the Make It Happen Mastermind, when somebody's getting really stuck and stubborn and stuck in the rut of their conversation that's going on up there that's keeping them stuck, I'll say, hey, are you coachable? Mm-hmm. And if they say yes, then I'll give them information, and they may decide to say no, in which case I'll say, let me know when you are.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And it's really, truly, it's taking our past, what we know, and throwing it on the future, which could be a blank slate for creation. But when we take our past and throw it on the future, oh, I know how this will be, then we limit all of the options, all of the opportunities, all of what could be, by limiting it to what we quote unquote know. And what we know and have experienced is so limited compared to what we could discover and experience and have and so forth.
And would you agree that so much of life, the points where there seems to be true magic, came about in just a rather serendipitous, miraculous way, and not because of pre-planning?
Yes. Yep. Or often what I find happens is I'll put out effort in this direction and something will come in this direction. Now, it probably wouldn't have come in a way that I wasn't thinking of or looking for if I wasn't in motion, if I wasn't in committed action. But attachment to how it looks, if I'm only looking for it to come in this way, then I miss all of these things that come in other ways as well. Because
I love that. So we keep our vision, we keep our big vision, but then we let the how show up. Right. And as you say, we've got to be in motion, because it's that law of conservation of mass. A body in motion will stay in motion unless acted upon by an outside force. A body at rest will stay at rest unless acted upon by an outside force. Just having some momentum, having that forward motion is going to draw to us what we need. Whatever we need, whatever opportunities we need, whatever relationships we need professionally, whatever we need is provided that way.
Yes. Yep. And I think right now, especially with the COVID situation, there's a lot of inertia. I know for me, I've been here, I have a mobile lifestyle, and I've been here in this location for 18 months. Beautiful, beautiful place on a lovely lake, etc. But I am an object in inertia by and large. Even though, yes, I've been working, yes, I've been connecting, yes, I've been doing all this stuff, I've gotten into a comfort zone. And so I'm really committed to breaking out of that. So part of the outside force is saying, okay, that's it. I'm going back on the road, and making a commitment to do that, assuming they open the borders and so on. But I think that inertia can be one of our biggest challenges. Is it takes something to get moving again, to get out of that comfort zone. And a lot of that is really just getting clear on why it matters to get out of the comfort zone.
Right. And I would say to you, and this is part of my message, is I always add the words right now. So I would say to you, okay, maybe borders aren't open right now. Okay, fine. But how could you move right now? Yeah. What is something that you could do that would be a movement right now? I know for myself, I decided to take a trip with my daughter, even though our house is being repaired with major water damage and everything is topsy-turvy, and my office is being packed up completely tomorrow, right? I said, she's about to start high school. I want to take a trip with her. So I already made the reservations, and we're going to go in North Carolina to see the Van Gogh immersion exhibit. We're going to also go to this neat, lazy 5 ranch that has this sort of the safari experience. But we're going to go close to home, but we're going to have an adventure. Yeah. So how can you have some aspect of what it is you desire right now? And I want to give an example real quickly. A dear friend of mine was like, I want to go to France. I want to go to France. And I said, well, what does France represent to you? Why do you really want to go to France? What is it about France? And she said, well, I just love the language. I just love the language. And I said, well, why don't you just right now go down the road to the community college and sign up for a class? Yeah. And she said, oh, or why don't you just find the Académie Française, find the little groups that are speaking French in this area. And she did. Yeah. And guess what? Immediately she had that sense of adventure. And then she did end up going to France. Yeah. But the point is, what can you do today? Because we just don't know whether we even have tomorrow. So how about today, find a way to have a sense of that movement, find a way to give yourself that gift, even if it's just going outside with a magnifying glass and having fun, taking photos of all the cool insects and flowers. Have yourself a little scavenger hunt.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. All right, we've only got 5 minutes left, and I want to get the last two and the antidote in. So what are your last two blocks?
Yes, the last two. Number one of those, confusion, right? This is where you hear somebody saying, oh, I don't know what to do, or I'm lost. Guess what? That's a choice. You are choosing to be lost. You're choosing not to know what to do. You're pretending not to know. So that's confusion. And confusion gets you off the hook, so you don't have to do anything. Yep. You can just stay in that sucky comfort zone.
Exactly. I call it the meta excuse, because I get to be or not be, do or not do something as a result of my confusion. So I don't have to take action. So it's the meta excuse overall for not getting shit done.
Yeah, exactly. It gets you off the hook. And the last one, of course, is fear, right? of not and sometimes it's fear that I won't make a difference, that I'll fail, fear that I'll be successful and I'll be too busy and I won't have a life. There are a variety of fears that especially women entrepreneurs have, because we already carry so much of the load in our households, or we're single moms as I am and an entrepreneur. So and helping my daughter run her own pet sitting business too. So I really have essentially two businesses and volunteer work and, the other identities as well. So fear is huge. And what I like to say about that, the antidote to that is that fear cannot coexist with action. Even if you take one small action, make one phone call, you will notice that your fear begins to abate. Fear cannot coexist with action. So that's a quick antidote for people with that.
Absolutely. I love that. And a lot of times, and that ties in, I think, to the confusion, because a lot of times people say, I'm not clear, so I can't take a step. I find when I take a step, I get clear real fast.
Love it.
And so you're right. It not only is the antidote to fear, but also often to confusion as well. It's a twofer.
It's a twofer. You're getting 2 scoops of ice cream.
Exactly. All right. And so any other kind of antidotes or comments or in terms of ways to overcome these? What are some?
Well, actually, what I want to say, Jeanette, and this is true, I'm sure, in your program as well, there are 4 things that are really essential that you need to have in place to get rid of these conversations. And this is what I have in my Make It Happen Mastermind. And they are training, accountability, community, and coaching. They're 4 methods that you are 4, what should I say, 4 parts that four ways that you can overcome these conversations. You need training, ongoing training. You need accountability, where you say you're going to do something and somebody follows through with you. They support you in taking those little steps that eventually become a great big leap. You need community, a community that will cheerlead in a really authentic way and not a fakey way, but will really cheer you on with power and joy, realizing that your success is their success. And also coaching, group and individual coaching. These are all, I have 6 coaches myself. I have 6 coaches. Why? Because that keeps me moving forward powerfully and fast. So that's all that I have in the Make It Happen. That's the structure of the Make It Happen, is the training, accountability, community, and coaching.
Yeah.
And with those 4 aspects together, there's no way you will be able to stay in comfort zone.
I agree. And I think that one of the practical things that if you're listening to this, do an inventory and check, do you have external accountability where you're actually putting out into the world what you're committed to, when, by when, what you're going to accomplish, and so forth. If not, chances are good that you're sliding on all sorts of intentions and goals. And you need
and it can't be nicey nice accountability. That's not accountability.
Yeah.
Sorry, it can't be your best friend.
Yeah.
You need a kick-ass coach.
Yeah. You need someone who will say, okay, you didn't do that because, and how are we going to not have that carry on? And so you need a community of listening. And I think community is really important too, because I often say you need someone who will see you with fresh eyes, not the people who know you as who you were, but the people who hold a space for you to step into for who you're committed to being. So I agree. And then skills development, we also always need training and coaching, someone who can provide that external perspective and objectivity and really hold the space for you to be who you say you are committed to being. So I think that's a brilliant combination.
Relentlessly hold that space. Relentlessly.
I love that.
Not in a sweet way.
Yes. You can be loving and still kick ass.
Exactly, right.
I tell my clients I provide a kick in the context, and it's not always going to be comfortable, but you're always going to be grateful in the long run. So, okay, you've got a couple of gifts for people. So why don't you share what those are? And one is your Funtabulous ebook. I love that word. How to Overcome Overwhelm in 7 Easy Steps, and a subscription to your e-newsletter. So where do they go for that? I'll put that in the chat.
Very simple. Just go to my website, which is www.spirited, SPIRITED dash, make sure you put the dash, solutions with an S on the end.com, spirited-solutions.com. You'll see me at the top. You'll see a box. Just put your email and your first name in. And of course, I don't share any of that information, neither do my helpers. And you will receive your ebook. And a lot of people are overwhelmed right now. So I would really encourage you to take advantage of that. And it has some great business ideas and business tips in there as well. Second thing is I wanted to offer your listeners, Jeanette, who are seriously interested, notice my wording, seriously interested in moving forward and making it happen in their businesses and really seeing double, triple, quadruple, or more fast in terms of their impact and their income. And those of you who want to invest in yourselves, because by the way, to the level that you invest in your business will grow and you will grow. For those of you who are seriously interested in that, I do offer a complimentary 25-minute Get Results Now coaching session. Mm-hmm. Now, you all do not contact me if you just want me to talk with you for 25 minutes and get off the phone, because you're going to piss me off. But if you're seriously interested in investing in yourself and your business and you want to see those things you say you want actually happen, then you and I can have a conversation. Mm-hmm. You can reach out through the website and we'll schedule a time. It's a 25-minute complimentary session valued at over $100.
Okay, awesome. I love that. So they can schedule that on the website?
They'll actually just reach out by email.
Okay.
Reach out by email, and then I will give them some time, so we'll get it scheduled.
Okay, so what's the email that I'm just typing it in as we chat?
Yes, they can use the contact form on the website. That's probably the best way to do it. But also, they could also use Dr. B at spirited-solutions.com. Dr. B, which makes me feel like a rapper, at spirited-solutions.com. So just reach out and then I'll contact you with some times and we'll get that set. By the way, I should mention, Jeanette, that the next iteration of the program is actually starting this week. And I do have space for one more person, only one. Okay. And we're beginning on Thursday. Hey, I'm just seeing the right person listening to this and saying, oh my God, I want to kick ass. I'm calling her.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds good. And the program is, so mention the program that's starting this week is?
The program is the Make It Happen Mastermind Coaching Program. Okay. And this is in the program, the big result that people get is you will double, triple, or more your income and your positive impact in the world super fast. Usually that happens within 3 months, if not earlier.
Awesome. All right. Great. Thank you so much for being here. I love the fierceness of your stand for people. By the way, what's your kitty's name? The one behind.
Oh, yes. This is my special guest. This is Tucker.
Tucker. Hi, Tucker.
And Tucker has been waiting for the interview. I had an interview right before this, and he's been up here all afternoon, just enjoying himself.
The occasional little cameo when he gets up and stretches and then goes back down again. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And for those 5 points, I think that's really valuable. And it is a lot of where people get stuck. The learned helplessness, the not enough conversations, the know-it-all, the confusion and fear. And truly a lot of the antidote to that is creating structures that support us. Coaching, community, programs that give us momentum, those kinds of external structures that hold us in a space of possibility of who we are, who we say we're going to be, and help us continuously step into that. So thank you for being one of those people who is fiercely standing for women to step up, step out, be seen, and make a difference.
And be heard.
Exactly.
Thank you, Jeanette. I love your energy, and you are a bodacious business babe.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yep. And that's what we're all about here, is creating more bodacious business babes. So have a
BBB.
wonderful week, everybody. For my Canadian friends, hope you had a great, happy, long weekend. And thanks for being here on the Bodacity Show. If you've got questions for Dr. Barnsley, by the way, what's your PhD in? I didn't ask you before.
It's in literature and women's studies.
Okay, awesome. So when you have questions for Dr. Barnsley, put them into the chat. She'll be popping in once in a while to answer any questions you may have. And I've put the contact info there. So by all means, reach out to my fellow Bodacious babe and connect with her. She's got some great giveaways and handouts as well. All right, everybody, have a bodacious week. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.